protein
That's
shake
all
in the
you
morning.
get up in the morning to make it happen.
That's right.
Oh, so you one of them new breeds of new athletes, huh?
Well, half of the day is gone at 10 to me.
Is that what that is? Shit, I'm just getting started by then, huh?
Take all that trash?
Yeah.
I'm going to look at your
Appreciate
questions
you.
and have a chance to.
Yeah, I have,
Yeah.
these guys, you want them? 'Cause,
This one here. Yeah, lead him there. I usually don't have phone in on these here,
We
but
don't?
no, I'm just kidding. Kidding with you. What you got?
I can't find my
Can't
mind.
find your what?
I can't find my brain.
Your
I
brain?
lose
You said you can't find your what this
it.
morning?
My brain.
You know that man sitting over there? Fine. You
We
sit
have
on
been
something together, don't
briefly
you?
introduced. We are new board members.
Oh, okay.
Well, you've probably been there for a while, huh, David?
Where?
On the sport organ board?
It's like 2 years, not very
Oh, yeah.
long. I've been friends with Jim Essel for a long time though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Metso boys is always interesting.
you guys here?
I've known them for years.
Hello.
Check. Okay.
Check 95, check 95.
I can
Time to
hear you.
go to work, y'all. It's a good day in the life and times of a rock star. And we looking at it live and in
I didn't lock
Portland
the
color.
other door, Ron.
You know?
I didn't lock the other door.
Oh, where you got Sam out there?
What you say?
No, I was talking to Fawn about one of my other colleagues out there, one of the young men that work for us. You know, man, I remember them days in the morning at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. First thing you hit is a shake, right? And you get it done. You got that early morning session, you get it done, you know, you get a little protein, then you go home and go get a little bit of rest around lunchtime and come back at 3 o'clock and do it all over again. So I do remember them days of getting up early in the morning and making it happen. You know, head banging. You know, but y'all round ballers is a little bit different than us, right? Because I'm a long baller, always been, always will be.
I feel you on
But
that.
you know, y'all round ballers got a special nature, and a lot of my friends is round ballers. But me and them, we see life kind of interestingly, but a little bit different. They see it from a 7-footer perspective, and I see it from a 6'1". But all my life I'll tear it up, though. You know what I'm saying? If it's in front of me, it's got to be moved.
I feel you on that.
You know. But come on, y'all. You let me know when y'all ready to go to work. You ready?
Going, yeah.
You let me
Oh,
know,
did you
Lucas,
play football?
when you're ready to go.
David, did you play
Basketball.
He
only
played- yeah, he was a
basketball,
round
but did
baller.
you ever play football?
No.
Yeah.
Nah, he was too nice looking for that.
I'm not playing 6'8" and have my legs taken out every
The
day.
knees wouldn't be worth
Well, that
a
would
damn
be
after about 5 minutes.
A great quarterback, right? That tall sometimes.
Yeah,
or
wide
sometimes
receiver.
the wide receivers, right?
I'd rather be a wide receiver than a
Yeah.
I don't want everybody
he
gunning
do
for
got
me.
wide receiver stuff going on, but like I said, you know, Sam is a beast. He get out there on them knees and on them legs, boy, he got to be going up for them
Sam.
balls.
I don't know. You say Sam all the time. I never understand. Does anybody know the term Sam aside from you? I really want to know
Well, I don't know. Most people who play football know strong
that. Anybody,
side.
show of hands. What
The
does
F-
Sam mean in football?
The S.
What does Sam mean in
The
football?
first letter.
Show of hands.
It's the S. It's the
No
letter S.
clue what Sam means.
Man, open the door. Let her out of here this morning already, because I don't want to hear no more of this.
Get
Attacking
him.
Come on, man. And you know
Sam
what I
again?
tell you about these lights you got on my neck over here on my head?
It's fogging
You know-
up his glasses. Look at him
Got
fogged up.
lights and shit, all this shit, and you know, and this here girl come in here with this shit here, and they already know, the producers already know. Me and her will not see eye to eye on nothing.
I got the heat off, so it should.
Did you?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Crack that door, cause y'all know how I hate this this light
You
on
need
my
to get him a
neck.
fan.
Yeah, where that
A
at?
proper fan
So
at.
loud.
There you go. Get a piece of paper.
That's the old-fashioned way.
Hey, y'all,
Why
what
don't you
I'm
take
gonna
this off?
do. I'm gonna do this.
Why don't you take your scarf off since you're so hot?
Yeah. Frosty,
You-
the snowman. Are you melting inside? Do you have plans tonight, David? You got more events to attend?
I got 7 in 4 days.
Are you still, you used to throw a big New Year's Eve event. Are you still doing that? No,
I used
no
to.
time for that.
They used to be like the beneficiary of a New Year's Eve event, but not
Oh.
this year.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that was a big party.
Big, huge.
Yeah. like convention center size
Yeah.
parties, isn't
Yeah,
it,
it
or
was
something?
pure
Or there was
space.
always cute little spaces.
Like 1,000 people.
Oh man, yeah. Okay. Well,
Leave it like it is. But
That's
I
a lot
didn't,
of bodies.
I didn't like that though.
ever bodies?
I said that's a lot of bodies.
did.
Oh, 1,000 people. It is for New Year's
It was more,
Eve.
yeah, it was more than 1,000.
Yeah.
10-4, you ready to roll?
Are you okay over there?
Nah, man. You know, every once in a while I get a hit with this heat, but I'll settle down in a minute.
If you'd have woke up early, took a cold shower.
I did all that shit, man. Jumped in the hot tub, all that.
Oh, well,
But
the
it's
hot
ready to
tub.
go.
That's not a cold
Cold tank.
shower.
But girl, let me tell you something.
It was
Don't-
freezing this
Hey.
morning, though. So
Lucas,
hot
you
tub
need to come sit next to me because I might have to pinch you on the leg or something. When you're ready, Ron, y'all let us know. Good morning, and welcome to this episode of Black Beat Podcast, where we're unapologetically black, but most people don't like that, so they want me to take it back, but I won't. We're here to make sure that you get the content and information that is significant to the advancement of our black community. I'm your host, John Washington, and I'm the CEO and editor-in-chief of Flossin Media. Today, we have an exciting guest with us, a young man that I've been watching for a number of years around here, knew his daddy and all that. But today, we have David Lucas, business entrepreneur and founder and executive director of the Maurice Lucas Foundation. Dave is responsible for developing strategies for growth and overall direction, while serving on the Portland Trail Blazers Foundation, the Providence Milwaukee Foundation Board, and Sports Oregon Board. Young man's busy, I'm telling you. He has a passion for fostering and developing opportunities for students in academic programs. In June of 2018, Portland Business Journal recognized Mr. Lucas as one of the top 40 business leaders in Portland under the age of 40. Well, you know, that's a hell of a radar, and I got my eye on that also. He also received the 2020 Liberty Hope Award for the from the League of Minority Voters. Dave is also the founder of Lucas Design and Built and Compass Auto Group, and he played professional basketball in Portugal, China, Poland, and after graduating from Oregon State University in 2005, welcome, Mr. Lucas.
My man.
A hell of a intro.
Did I write that? That was long.
That was all of who you was.
I cut it down. It was 3 times as long.
are you still under 40?
I was 36 when I got that.
Oh.
You was 36
Oh,
on the business
just 40.
award.
Uh-oh.
Good, man. So, man, hey, look, we do appreciate you coming on the show with us. And, hey, man, tell us a little bit about, man, who this fella is sitting here. Because most people, they know your name, but they don't know where you came from and how you got here. So why don't you share a little bit about your background, man, and talk a little bit about how you got here to where you are today. I mean, in terms of, did you grow up here, where you came from, some of the things, man. Just get us to the day.
So my dad played 14 years in the NBA, and I was born in New Jersey when he played for the Knicks.
Well, man, wait. Hold the horses. This is one of the things that we did not know about, now didn't we?
I didn't know
now,
where
you
he
didn't
was
bring
born.
This to me,
Well, I knew
and I'm a
Stan-
Jersey boy through and through.
His father's from the East Coast, so there was a chance, right?
Well, I was born in Patterson, but go ahead, man.
It was Livingston for me.
Livingston, oh,
Suburbs.
man, Rutgers University. I was no American out of Rutgers, boy.
Okay.
Is that where
New
Rutgers
Brunswick.
is,
Nah,
Livingston?
No, Livingston was one of the campuses on Rutgers University called Livingston College.
Oh.
But there's a town of Livingston, Edison, all of them ones that is around there. Man,
Absolutely.
that is a tidbit. But go ahead, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but boy, that was a passion where I come from. You know what I'm saying?
Not
Word
a lot
up.
of people know because they think I've been here since I was 6. So,
Oh, man.
you know, that I've been here for a long time. But my dad, I was born in New Jersey. My dad played for the Knicks, and he got traded to the Nets. We stayed in New Jersey. And then he played for the Suns, the Lakers, the Sonics. So he moved, and then came back in '88 to the Blazers, where then he retired that year. Paul Allen just bought the Blazers. And so he was the first one to retire my dad's jersey during that year. Then he was assistant coach with Rick Adamman. So I've been here since I was 6 years old. So I basically was raised here in this community. Dad loved it, loved Portland, loved how they embraced him each and every year. Gave back to the community in the 70s, putting on free camps, clinics, donating to all kinds of charities, and raising money, and just taught us the value of giving back and putting others before yourself. And he grew up in a completely different era than I did. And he was into projects in Pittsburgh.
Oh, boy, don't you know.
Single mom, raising 3 siblings, and fights and drugs and all those things.
Boy,
trying to get out of that situation. He used basketball as an outlet. Unlike my uncle, did almost 20 years in prison, and he was 4 years older. So, seeing friends die, go to prison, at a young age, and he lived in an all-black neighborhood, so it's completely different than me growing up in an all-white neighborhood most of my life.
Wow. Isn't that paradoxical? Interesting, similar stories, isn't it? I mean, when I listen to you talk, man, it sounds like my exact story. Me and your father traveled very similar roads,
New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah, man.
So wait, did your dad grow up in New Jersey or Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
So
ain't much different.
Yeah.
Hood is the hood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I got crazy stories.
Yeah, man.
From his, growing up and bullies, throughout the neighborhoods, and having to walk the long ways to get to school and to practice. And
was your father a big storyteller for you?
Oh yeah. He painted the picture like, this is how I grew up. I don't want you to grow up like this. So he did everything he can to provide for us, and put a roof over our head and put us in a safe environment so we didn't have to grow up like that.
Wow. And that just rings so home for me and my family the same way, man.
Well, yeah, you because you're a big storyteller, you mean?
Girl, I keep telling y'all we about to run out of here. But
I mean, I think you're a big advocate for father-son relationships, right? Especially, so as David, as you pointed out, your father didn't sound like dad was around, just single mother, you said?
Yeah, his father was around a short period of time, but then he passed away, but yeah. So,
I know that's a big topic of your father and son relationships, and you like to
let's
explore
speak about that. I mean, because, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Well, in your case, the field pea or whatever that is in Iowa.
Soybean. The soybean.
Soybean, that's what it is, the soil. But what was that relationship like, man?
Well,
you and your dad, man.
So I took it a little bit different than my other siblings, but I love my father like more than anything, and I wanted to make him happy. So, we were really close. I played basketball. My brother, stopped playing as an 8th grader. So, and I was the tallest. My brother's 1 year older, and he's, I'm 19 years old. He's 20. He's out there stealing cars and doing all the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. He got arrested one day, and my dad gave him an ultimatum like, listen, you're either going to go to jail and be in prison, or you're going to have to do something else. And if school is not the answer, then, the military is the only other option. Whoa. So he entered the service and went to the Air Force, went to boot camp, and today, 20 years later, he's Master Sergeant, retired.
Hoorah or hoo-ha. I don't know. What do they say
you need to get
the Air
that.
Force?
Some boot
they don't
camp.
say hoo-ha, hoorah. Hoo-ha.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. They all have their...
you need a boot camp.
Wow.
But anyway, that was it. That's deep, man, because it's true. Because, like, in my family, we had 7 sisters and brothers, man. And I tell you, man, out of the whole deal coming up out of there, there was only one of us that came up out of there, man. I mean, that hood will eat us all up, man. But the significant reality about my relationship with my father, man, was really significant. Even though POW, the Korean War, all that stuff that them brothers experienced during those times, it was just crazy. I mean, they brought him right out of the POW camp and just dropped him off downtown Patterson and said, "See you, thanks for serving." Didn't recognize none of the behaviors, the mental health issues, none of that. And then we had to be raised up by that, and see all of that. But
your father was a kind man, right?
Ooh, this girl knows how to strum a beat. Yeah. But I misinterpreted that. I misinterpreted kindness in that time. Because when you're hungry and you're surrounded by beasts who want to eat you and consume you and destroy you in all kinds of ways, kindness was a luxury, and it wasn't exactly something that I was afforded. So, but as you get older and you get some opportunities and you look back at it, and when I look at what my dad had to come through to get through to what he needed to get through to get back to family, to home, to safety, I don't think I could have did it. I'm built differently,
What about you, David? Would you consider your father was he a hugger? Was he a loving man?
Loving. hugger,
So
kisser.
how many kids are there?
I have a sister that's 4 years younger, Kristen, and I have a brother that's Maurice Lucas II. That's 1 year older in 10 days. So
And
he's
then
in
you're in
Florida.
the middle?
Yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm the middle child.
So-
I call myself the golden child.
Even up into your more advanced teenage years, was he still a hugger and a kisser?
When I was 28, he was a hugger and kisser.
But still kind of a tough guy.
Tough guy.
Yeah, got
through
to
and
be.
through.
Yeah. So are
And
you?
the paint, boy, you got to be.
You know, I mean, I think from that generation of your father and you and stuff, I mean, well, my parents were in their 80s now, or my dad passed away, but my mom is still alive. But, you know, guys weren't really known as the hugger kisser types, at least where I grew up in kind of a more traditional, rigid household. But is that something that you're able to pass along to your kids now, too? Do you feel
I'm
like...
very affectionate with my kids. And I think the biggest thing with my father is that the way he grew up and the things that he saw, and like he shouldn't be here, right? He shouldn't have had 3 beautiful kids, been in the NBA, being able to support and have the experience that he did. Like, and I think that he was so adamant about like, okay, I've seen people go this path, this path, this path, this path, this path. And so he tried so hard to show us love and to provide us with, you know, the opportunities that he didn't have. Right. So, man, if I hung out with the wrong person, he would get the feeling like, I don't like this guy. You're not hanging out with him no more. And that was the deal. Next thing you know, he's in jail or he gets jumped by a gang and he's going down this wrong path. But he was already going down that wrong path. And our dad saved me through and through for, you know, growing up in middle school, high school on who I'm hanging out with. And if he didn't like them and like what they're doing, he would, you know, wouldn't allow me to hang out with them.
How was your father? You know, I know this is a big deal for you again too, John, is like when, you know, your dad coming from a predominantly African-American neighborhood and then you raised in a predominantly white neighborhood, you said, how was your father dealing with that? Would he recognize that and call that out, or would he be intentional about, you know, engaging you with, you know, your black roots or your black community in any way?
Oh, man, I used to go into we would travel a lot, right, and be around all diversities every single time we go. So we go to all-star games. So, like, and even coming down, supporting our community and doing activities, used to do free camps for thousands of kids every single summer for this community. And so he would bring us around, but then we would go back to Tigard or back to Lake Oswego.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just a different dynamic, like living in the suburbs, predominantly white.
Yeah.
There's race wars. You know, there's a handful of, you know, African-American families in the Tigard School District. So, like, and even at Riverdale and Lake Oswego, we were like the only black family. But my dad was Maurice Lucas, you know, and he had just came off a championship.
Oh, yeah.
The Blazers have never had a championship. He's 6'10", he's intimidating. So, like, I had the support of my father every single day I went to school, right? Because everybody knew who I was. And I'm just thinking about all the other black kids that go to school that don't have a father like that and what they're having to deal with. And the shit that I had to deal with, I'm sorry.
No, man, you cuss here. This is where we at.
It's rated L for language.
You know, people had it, other kids that look like me had it, you know, 5 times worse. So I'm always trying to come to their rescue, because when my dad comes to school because somebody calls me out of my name, which happened on a regular basis until, you know, I either did something about it or my dad came through and was like, put the pressure on the school district, the teachers, and whatever other families that were involved. If I didn't have that, you know, I think that things would be a lot different. So.
Yeah. You know, and I do really appreciate you, David, really pointing that aspect of it out, you know, because I think that was something that me and Jarrell was talking about earlier. The question was, when you look at the profile, you look at philanthropy, you look at the way you approach it, the question was always, even as the question when we were there at Oregon Sports, the banquet, and about that, you know, about that whole structure around supporting women's sports, right? But you look at who you are today, the life you grew up. It's almost as if it prepared you to be able to be in the position that you're in right now, man. Because when you think about philanthropy, when you think about fundraising, when you think about some of the opportunities you've been able to, hey, man, you know, let's talk a little bit about your experience with this whole aspect of culture and, how you grew up, and then in respects to seeing what's going on today, and then how you have to make that blend and that transition. You come into the hood, but you can leave the hood. You have white friends, you have white community access, all these types of things. Man, how has that helped you over the years? And tell me a little bit more about how that spun out for you to where you're able to see the moon and the sun set at the same time. You know how to see both sides of the scenario, because that upbringing that you had afforded you that opportunity, right? I mean, you got, even for myself, man, growing up in a time where, it was okay to have white friends, but we couldn't bring them to the project, but we had white friends at the school. We'd go to their house, but we wouldn't bring them to ours, but, because my partners would always want to jump on them and beat them up, But we maintained relationships over the years that still to this day serve me in my life. So talk a little bit, man, about the significance of that for you. I mean, the difference between, if someone was to say, "Oh, he ain't hood enough," or he ain't this enough, how you respond to that?
I get that.
Okay.
Being raised in the suburbs and being black, and then like our AAU basketball programs, like we travel, and I got kids from this area, and I'm supporting them. Our foundation is at, Harriet Tubman, is at Park Rose, like super diverse population of students and families. And I got 3 or 4 rental properties right down the street. So and I get my haircut down here. And so, being raised in a suburb and not in this community, people look at me differently, right?
Yeah.
Like, you ain't from there. No matter what I do to help
Don't give
the
up your hood card.
Right? No matter what I do. And my dad knew that.
Yeah.
And I used to say, like, man, they don't like me,
Yeah.
And until I realized, like, I can't control where I was raised, right? I can't control my father. Like, I can't just, as a 13-year-old, like, no, I want to go over here because of this. Like, I can't control that. So all I can do is make it the best experience and try to do what I can do from how I was raised, right? Because I could have been raised, and we have so many families that are dealing with this stuff, like, that live here, that are dealing with the violence, the gang activity, the shootings. And, like, we've lost 3 of our students to shootings in the last 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's something that's, like, I understand where my dad was coming from when it was like, yo, we're going to live out here.
Yeah.
And this is why we're going to live out here.
You're
I didn't understand at the time, but shit, like, I understand it now, right?
Right.
And I deal with my own struggles, but it's not as hard as it dealing with the other things that other people are dealing with here.
Yeah.
So.
Open my eyes, boy. Come on. Talk to me. Yeah. This is amazing, man. God is, I'm sorry for touting my beliefs, but it's amazing how the universe sometimes unpacks things. Just as you may be thinking that an interview is going to go one direction, it changes up on you. But the direction that I'm always adamant about is the relationship between a father and his son. And the importance of that relationship, because I don't really believe, as young black men in this country today, is that we have that asset, that connection to our fathers who essentially have the legacy that is handing to us, and that we taking that responsibility. And I can remember that one time, though, Lucas, when I just made that decision that I was going to make my father proud. It just was, I was going to inherit his name and take it on fully, and for whatever that represented. Because I knew what was going on behind me wasn't happening. In any vehicle I could take to get out of that hood, boy, I was taking it. And they kept coming and knocking at the door. I mean, I had 68 major colleges in this country, man. I was recruited, one of the highest recruits in this country, top 10%. And they was knocking, but I didn't have the support that I needed, right, to be able to make a healthy choice, So I had to resort to some of my white friends, man. I mean, could you tell me what I needed? Could you help me fill out these applications? And they were so gracious to be able to do that. And so you needed that extra element, and it wasn't that as if my other sides of the family wasn't saying, well, do you really need them or do you really need that? But what I did need was what I got, because it was enough to get me up out of that shit, man. So, but let's shift gears for real quick. But they tell me you hot out there. We watched you on the fundraising circuit right? When he came on and he started, and when you founded the foundation, your dad's foundation, right? And we started watching you on these fundraisings and these things, and boy, you came out the gate strong. From the beginning, and they looked back. What did you attribute all that kind of rapid success to, man, for you and the foundation and fundraising and all those types of things? Was there something magical that you tapped into with all that?
Yeah, my dad's network. He was so involved in the community, so involved with all these corporate, corporations, private, big, wealthy people. Nike was a big one, so we hosted our first gala at Nike. But starting the foundation without my father and what he did in our community and the relationships he had and the legacy he left behind, there wouldn't be no foundation, because all the board members had a relationship with my father, whether it's our Moss Adams partner or Stoll Reeves partner or marketing and branding partner. All these positions that I brought onto the board, they were all knew my father or had a relationship with him. Wow. And like the chief of the Beaverton Police, like he was on our board. Like he was really good friends with my father. Like all these people, and then Nike. Like he's like, come at Tiger Woods Center, have your first gala. So we had 300 people there. I had Bill Russell there, and we gave him the Maurice Lucas Enforcer Award for the first year. Bill Wall and Lionel Hollins, like half of the 77 championship team. Brian Grant, Jerome Kersey, because he was on our board.
All of them. Yeah, I remember them all.
There was like 30 or 40, and we raised like, I don't know, $200,000-$300,000, which was a huge deal from having the foundation for a year and a half, 2 years, and not raising any money.
Right.
Besides what we did for the Blazers with Larry Miller, because he was the president of the Blazers at the time. And he was good friends with my father, so he like was fundraising the entire year for us. But from all the people that supported and bought tables and donated, like my dad's name carried all the way. It wasn't about the program at the time. It was like, damn, we lost a great person. We're going to go support the foundation. It was our launch, and it was a huge deal. So
how was it from the time you started the foundation and your dad passed away? What was the time?
2 months.
Oh, 2 months.
Yeah, Larry Miller came to our living room with all the executive team for the Blazers and sat us down. I was like, do you guys have a foundation? I was like, well, shit, I was putting one together for my dad, but then he got sick and we put it on the back burner. Let me finish it. So we put all the bylaws, the mission, built the board up, and all that. And
so you came out the gate with a strong team.
Yeah, I came out strong. Yeah. Absolutely.
But you got to be strong, right? So you have some administrative kind of, what did you take in college?
Communications and psychology.
Oh, okay.
And a little bit of sociology.
Urban studies.
Those are
psychology.
all good things.
Urban studies.
Urban studies.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you had to carry some bullshit.
Right. I mean, you had great mentorship, but still, you had a big part of the burden was, participating in that structure and then, getting yourself a role. What were you pulling from there?
Well, I think it was just the calling. Like when Larry sat down, like, this is me. I got this. I'm going to run this.
Wow.
And I felt like that was my purpose. Like that was like the clarity, like, damn, I lost my best friend, my rock, like the heart of our foundation, like didn't expect it. I was effed up. So, and then he came into my living room, and then it gave me like, oh shit, I'm put all my energy into this. And so I started doing that. And man, it's helped our family, across the board.
Of the loss
Absolutely.
Of your father.
Like we continue my father's legacy. We're supporting our community and giving back from 6th grade all the way through post-high, and it's an 11-year comprehensive program. So now we have our kids that are seniors that started in 6th grade, and we're about to see our first graduating class.
Wow, congratulations.
11 years. So
Man.
we can't wait till June so we can celebrate that.
Y'all already know. He entered the house. It's in the house. He here all through and through. The spirit is solid, man. It's man, your dad is proud. That's all I can tell you. But it is also the insight and graciousness of recognizing your mission, and having the opportunity to have that knowledge, and then taking that ball and running with it. And and no matter how you look at the metaphor, what you had to go, regardless of that safe place your dad put you in, you still had to be birthed by fire to experience who you were, because you had a great loss of somebody that you loved. But Jarrell, I see you sitting over there real quiet, man. I mean, and I know your arms are crossed up or something. I know you got something going on with this here relationship, boy. Something kicking you over there. I know you did. So what's kicking you, man?
Oh, I mean, a lot of things. Like, one thing I was thinking about is, like, you know, when you growing up black in like a low income community, and like the struggle of getting out of that situation, and like you were saying, Mr. Washington, like you were filling out applications and you went to your white friends to get support. I was just thinking about how, like, for me, it was kind of similar when I was going to college. I was like, I don't know how to write no scholarship. I don't know how to do, I don't know how to do none of this. But just how hard I worked and all the things, and like how dedicated, how committed I was to my studies, it gave me the opportunity to be able to go to someone else, because I'm a first generation college student. I didn't, like, my family couldn't really help me like navigate and go to college and know all the resources so I can get there and I can go with a full ride and stuff like that. So just the work I put in, similar to you, in a different way. Yours was, you know, through football. Mine was academics. And then it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, I can go to someone and have a support system. And, you know,
but wait a minute, boy. I know you're coming to a impetus, but you just snuck one in on me. Yeah. You know, I know you played football, but mine was academic. You heard?
I didn't mean like.
But
that.
You know, the Ivy League is still the Ivy League.
Oh yeah. No, definitely didn't.
He's been saying he didn't have football.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with it.
Yeah, but it was really just like, it's difficult, like, to get out of that situation, to get out of like low income, the hood, whatever it might be, without somebody on the outside, because the people on the inside, they don't know how to go out there for whatever reason it may be. They just haven't seen, you know, they haven't seen how life is like on the other side. Some people are just, they're comfortable in that situation or whatever it might be. So I was just really just thinking about that, just hearing the conversation and just reflecting a little bit on that.
Yeah, it's a great one, man. That relationship, father and son, male. And as much as I don't want to sound like a male chauvinist or anything like that, I think the significance of our relationships in the male category is really being under attack, man. And to acknowledge the importance of that relationship, man, and to not foster and support it in a bigger picture in our community, because I believe that is a significant part of what is depleting from the foundation of our strength, is to taking that part or that element out of it. So tell me, Lucas, what's it like, man, being a young African-American man on all these boards, serving and representing? When you're sitting at them, I mean, and participating with these experiences, man, how are you experiencing that, man? What's that like for you? And are you feeling like you moving the needle in any kind of way?
Well, I can only do what I can do, right? So moving the needle, if I move it a little bit or a lot, you know, I'm moving it.
Yeah.
And I sit on these boards because, one, I'm probably, like, the Sport Oregon board is very diverse, right? Because they got people from all over. There's like 100 board members on the board. But majority of the boards I sit on are predominantly white, right? And or anything I do, any event I go to, like, there's a handful of people of color. And even our supporters, like our largest supporters, are all white, you know, and they support at a large capacity because they want to do their part, or they grew up, like Mike Richardson. He runs Dark Horse Comics.
Yeah, Mike's a neat fella, man.
Yeah,
neat
he's
fella.
My biggest supporter, and I adopted him as a father. He's like,
wow.
It's
what
like my dad into him. But then he went to Portland State.
The White Shadow.
Yeah, he went to Portland State and played with Freeman Williams.
Remember that show?
He was the only white person on the whole team.
Yeah.
So, like, he grew up like, oh, what's up? You know, like, he was like,
yeah, I know.
You had to remind him, like, yo, chill. Like,
right.
You know.
Big Mike, big white Mike. Yeah, no, he ain't that. You close your eyes. That ain't who you see.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, and I think, David, you're about to allude to it, but it is the state of black philanthropy in Oregon, right? So as you have pointed out, like, a lot of times you're one of the only black faces at the table or in the rooms where there's significant fundraising going on. And we can say that by the type of events we've been to. John and I, like, we'll go through, you know, without naming names, there's this organization went through, mostly black people in the room. And, you know, the auction items were, you know, a little bit different then you see the auction items at some place like Sports Oregon. Right.
Somebody went to their house and got this.
Right. I was like, is this a used hoverboard? It's got scratches on it. But it's like, we learn so much. In school, we learn mathematics and science and this and that, but it's like, how do you teach people philanthropy, right? That's the ultimate position that people want to be in, right? Do you want to be receivers or givers? I mean, if you can be a giver, and at what level you can be a giver, but how do you teach people philanthropy at the next level of influential? And I'm talking about influencing big dollars. I think a lot of people can be influencers and help and, go help the homeless or serve in church and stuff like that. But I'm saying, how do you get to the big game of philanthropy and affect real financial resourceful change?
Or what's the skill?
In the black community.
Yeah,
and how would a black, right?
Young African-American men in this, or even just people of color in general, how to navigate these waters? What would the skill set you would say, David, is a necessity?
Well, I'm a relationship guy, so I treat everyone the same, right? I am who I am. I was raised this way. I talk how I talk. I don't try to change that when I'm around certain people, and communication is, I think, one of the biggest. How you approach people, how you're having conversation, how do you relate to them, figuring out what they love and what they want to be involved in. Because you can say, hey, we're raising money for underserved kids in, the Portland metro area community. That might not strike anybody.
Right.
But if you really break down what they love, like World Hunger is we've given out 19,000 meals this year. We serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, on a regular basis for all of our students. So, if that's something that drives, Safeway in Nabisco, that's their mission. So then you create a plan to present to them that relates to them. I didn't know that. I was going around asking everyone for money, please support my dad's foundation, da-da-da. And so that became a big thing for me. But when I started learning, communication, really figuring out what they love, they want to be at the academy and meet the kids and talk to them. That's when you're pulling on heartstrings. Get them connected to the kids, the parents. What's the impact that we're making on the community? How are we impacting? Give me some success stories. So just really trying to, and I go to so many events, maybe 100 events a year. And I'm networking, setting up lunches, dinners, and next thing you know, I'm friends with our donors. Right, that's what they want. They want somebody that's 6'8", dad played in the NBA. They feel cool because they're older, and I make them feel younger. So some people like that.
Well, I think
they like hanging out with me.
Right, but so let's stay on the subject of black philanthropy right now because with the the Black Lives Matter movement, and then the death of George Floyd, right? And that just opened up all kinds of white sympathetic coffers like you couldn't believe, right? And there were struggling black organizations doing really good work on the grassroots level, right? That now got the opportunity to actually have some capacity funds. And I'm talking about capacity funds to have an office, to have some staff, to do some events without having to beg for, the money to have a sound system there or pay a band or things like that. So that's been the fortunate or unfortunate result of something like that. But I think what you're pointing out is the infrastructure of philanthropy at the next level and finding those influential dollars, right? Is being able to, how do you help your black community, but you're going to need resources from, we're in a state where there's not a lot of black dollars, right? And so you're going to have to tap into those relationships with, other demographics. So, being able to cross that bridge, right? And as Jarrell pointed out, being somebody who's arrived to a level of philanthropy, but still willing to come back down and be a pathfinder and a pathway maker. So it's like, hey, this is how you navigate a complex system towards a level of success.
Yeah, on that
I think
one
it's
level,
really important.
Let's see if we can just make it kind of simple. In light of, you recognize all of our successes from civil rights to diversity, now in equity, right? How you navigating them waters, man? I mean, you're a younger cat. For me, I struggle in those transitions because I'm still feeling like there is some unmet need we have, something that they just not acknowledging. The world's just not acknowledging that we've been deprived of or something. I don't know it, but it's not a victim position because I don't necessarily, go that direction. But in your mind, in light of the landscape that has been presented to us to navigate these days, how are you navigating that landscape in the light of diversity when the focal point ain't just on civil rights from a black perspective, but everybody's perspective? Female, handicaps, LGBTQ, this one, that one, how you navigating that, man? And how do you maintain perspective in each of those environments in terms of keeping your goals set and keeping your mind focused on what it is you're trying to accomplish with all that other stuff mitigating?
Yeah, that's a tough one because, like I said, I'm majority in all these little circles. They're predominantly white, right? Mm-hmm. And who else do they have to talk to about what's going on in our community? Right. I'm the first
David
one.
Lucas.
Right. I'll be in a table of 20
Expert
people, all successful white businessmen, and I'm the only one at the table, and they'd be like, hey, David, what do you think about the BLM stuff and the riots that are going on? It's like, and so I get put in these really tough positions, and I try to be articulate about it and not take offense to it, but it's like most of the time, like, why are you asking me? Yeah. Like, if you really want to know and understand, like, let's have a one-on-one conversation. Yeah. Like, there's a time and place, but and I don't think a lot of people understand, what black men go through or black people go through in this world and how they're treated. Like, I get, hey, have you ever dealt with racism? I'm like, what? Like, yes, all the time. I still deal with it. Yeah. Like, I get pulled over all the time in Lake Oswego, and it's like, it doesn't care if you're driving a nice car or a beat up car, but it's like, yes, I get treated differently all the time. But just being myself and try to navigate through this time and be, I don't want to be on pins and needles when I'm talking about stuff like that, but, I try to stay out of the politics because it's very touchy, and we have a huge donor base that, you say the wrong thing, it might shine away. Right. But I try to be real, and if it's a fact, I'm strong about the point, right? Yeah. Because there's a lot of things that are going on that are pretty messed up that the people on the outside don't see. And we deal with this with all of our kids and families and students, right? So I see all the things that they're dealing with right now that people don't see, and they think they have a solution, like on the outside, like, oh, well, they need to do this, when that's not the answer, right? Yeah. You can't be on a pedestal in a 15,000 square foot house looking down and be like, oh, they need to change this in order to fix this. Now, it goes way back.
David, the Academy, is that a school that you set up, or is the Academy?
It's part of the foundation. So all of our funds that we raise go toward our during school, after school program. And we start in 6th grade. So every kid at Park Rose Middle School or at Harriet Tubman, they join our program in 6th grade. Let's say we take 40 6th graders in one school, or 50 or whatever it is. And then we keep them, they graduate, we take a new class of kids in, and now our kids are from 6th grade all the way through seniors in high school or college.
So you're connecting them with mentors, you're connecting them with...
So we provide... we have our 7 pillars, like respect, leadership, integrity, goal setting, positivity, leadership. Wow. We teach in the classroom. We teach out of the classroom. We have a gym portion where we focus and promote healthy living and active lifestyle. And we have whether we do basketball or volleyball or dodgeball, whatever it is. And then we have our academic piece where we have tutors come in from different schools, and they mentor and tutor the kids and help them with their homework and projects so they don't take it home with them, because the last thing we want to do is burden the parents more than what they already are burdened, because they're like dealing with income and job and all that stuff, single family home or single parent household homes or whatever it is. We take that relief off of the families. We have a financial assistance program. We do college campus tours and educational field trips in middle school. Yeah, man. So if families are struggling with rent or utilities, we help offset those costs.
How do we get Jarrell in that program?
No. It's way too late for that.
You think it's way too late, T?
How old are you now?
No, I'm kidding.
22.
He just come out of the U down there, man. He just graduated.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
From college?
Yeah.
What school?
University.
Oregon.
I'm a beaver, but
that's all right. Y'all sitting with love, and not only that, the mentorship and the trajectory, the goal, the objective, being able to have the model, and I love the fact that you essentially outline some of the skill sets that are important for development, in our demographic, and that's important, David. I really, and so. What are you focusing on right now, man? That's something that you believe is a game changer as you move forward with the foundation and some of the educational focus. What are your focuses that on the demographic that you believe
like the hot topics? What's the hot topics that are emerging? Here.
Well, I think the biggest thing that people are struggling with, at least in middle school kids, is just the circle of friends that they keep. Right, and the positivity and the vibes and what they think is cool versus smart. Like hanging out with somebody that's getting you in trouble, that wants you to skip class, and that it leads to joining gangs and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And like, there's a lot of things that have been going on in that space. And so we're just trying to really educate the kids on, the circle you keep is important and why it's important. It saved me. And if I didn't have my father putting his smack down on me every time I was doing something I shouldn't be doing, then I would have been in the path that, wouldn't have been good. Just like my brother. He's doing things, and we have all the resources. Supporting parents and household and a car and all these things, and yet he's out there doing something he shouldn't be doing because he's hanging out with the wrong people.
Yeah, it's wild that he's saying it, because I got a brother that in the last year have come to live with me, man, and he been in the rain for 25 years, man. No one even knew halfly where he was at. Under the bridges, he would appear here and there. And when I was a younger cat playing, man, after I got off one of them airplanes, I would want to go see my family. So if I flew into New York in the JFK, you get a late night flight, and I would go to Fadaisy limousine and get or Alfonso and get a whip, because you can't go back there without a whip, right?
Limousine.
The limousine serves as a Cadillac dealing place over back there. They used to get all the players their cars, right? And I'd slide downtown, and my brother be down there cleaning windshields with, the squirt bottles and under the bridge and all that. And, man, and after 25 years, I used to always tell him, man, there's a ticket down there for you whenever you want to come out of that headache. And last year, he called and said, I'm ready. And he been out here with me for now almost a year. And he didn't have an eye when he came. He didn't have no teeth when he came. He was broken down. And that was my youngest brother. And cats would look at him and they would go, hey, Wash, well, who that? That's your uncle or something? No, man, that's my youngest brother, man. And it's his younger brother. Damn, nigga, what happened to him? Yeah. And but today I could say he got an eye, he got teeth, he got a place, he got some kind of sense of pride and value, he makes maybe about $600 in retirement money or whatever, and he can't even afford to pay him rent, but yet he lived like a millionaire today, It bothered me a little bit, though, that I'm his retirement player, but,
Well, my dad did the same thing with his brother. He was an older brother, 4 years older.
Wow.
And then when he got out of prison, he took him in and he lived with us. And then my dad started a janitorial company. And he worked for him. And then next thing you know, he took it over. And
see that? Wow.
He's been out for 30 years, because I was young when he went in. But when you say like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, his son, who's 2 years younger than me, is in prison and in the streets, doing things he shouldn't be doing, but he's trying to survive because he had no other opportunity. No matter how much I provide for him and put him on, he's still, the fast money.
The fast
money is like, you can't, when you can make $2,000 in a day, like, why are you going to go work for $15 an hour?
Tell me about it.
Like, that's a tough one. And when you start introducing them to that.
Yeah.
But on another fact, when you say like what's important is mental health too.
Yeah, man.
Mental health is like huge right now for our kids.
We knew when we started talking about reparations, right? And I was listening to this sister down in Oakland who sits as a director for Black Lives Matter down there, right? And one of the interviewers was asking her, well, say y'all get reparations, and they gave each of y'all a bag. What would be the items in the bag? And first thing the sister yelled out, she says, I would get an unlimited amount of mental health services to everybody. Put a card there. This would be the first card we put there, unlimited amount, mental health services. But for us, mental health services was a stigma or a negative thing, the white robe, so nobody wanted to go deal with that reality. But what we did over the years, I wish that I would have had enough opportunity to spend more time with your dad, because it sounds like we would have been some serious soldiers together. Because when you look at the whole reality of what's significant, trauma in our culture is a real significant barrier. But we treat it as if it don't exist. Just like the fact that's why I'm going to always endorse mental health services for people. If you need treatment, if you need help, go get it. There's nothing less about you to go and seek some type of opportunity to improve yourself. That's somehow or another we got that misinverted in our head or something.
But how does mental health look to a 6th grader? Like, how does that demonstrate itself?
Well, you got to figure out what's going on in their life, and they got to be able to speak about it, right? Because especially men, boys don't want to talk about like anything. Like even myself, I struggle with that sometimes.
Right. I'm not a punk.
I struggle with anxiety and sometimes depression.
Yeah, man.
And like everyone's human, but being able to talk about it, and then if you do need help, go seek somebody. We provide these services for our kids and our parents. So if they're going through anything, we provide counselors for them, therapists. And then on the financial side, so like the opportunity, if it's there, but they got to tell us like what's going on, and then the kids got to speak to us. So we constantly reassure them that this is a family, it's a safe space. We provide anything they need. They might be dealing with issues at school. There might be a bully. We address all these situations, and they come to us first before they come to the teachers or principals. So being able to address and then when they do get in trouble, the teachers might be like, oh, detention, suspension, They don't even care because they don't have the mental capacity to deal with all these issues.
It's too much.
But our society has created them, and it's crazy. But all they do is create opportunities to treat symptoms. They never want to acknowledge causative factor. What's the real truth about why we arrive in the conditions where we're in. But hey, Lucas, I realize that everything, time is money and all that. But what I'd like to do with you, man, is to ask you just one basic question, man. If you can sort of put it in a capsule for our listeners, is that, hey, man, did we miss asking you a question? Is there something you would like to say to our audience that you would like them to know, that they should know in terms of their development, in terms of the things, the pathways that you've chosen, the race relations, male-female relations, whatever that is, man? Could you drop a nugget for us before you get out the house,
I would just say that, first of all, I want to get something clear. My dad played in the NBA. We had a big house, had the Mercedes, had the support at home. But as at age 14, all the kids had to get jobs. And we were cut off basically from paying for anything. We had to pay for all of our own stuff at age 14. I had to buy my own car. I had to pay for every little thing. The only thing I paid for after age 14 was my church clothes. So like everything that I've done for myself and the houses I built and the businesses I've started has all been from myself or relationships I built along the way. And I think the relationship piece is the biggest piece. Like from college, I was treating people the right way because I never knew when it was going to come full circle. And it came full circle over and over and over and over again. Boy. But when I do disrespect somebody or I see somebody else disrespect somebody and they treat them wrong, and the next thing you know, they're applying for a job at Providence and the person they disrespected is the president or CEO of Providence and they're in the interview phase. Like I've seen this. Oh, wow. It's been crazy. Like the full circle and then didn't get the job.
Right.
Because, oh no, I know how you really are. Right. So always treating people with respect, and you never know when you're going to need somebody in your circle, and expanding your circle. You know, you don't have to keep it right here. You can expand, talk, and build those relationships outside of that, because it you never know. Like, I can call 50 companies if somebody needs a job. If they're a good person, they did me the right way to try to help them get a job. And I do that on a regular basis because of the 150 corporate sponsors that we have and all the relationships. You know, I've been able to help, get people jobs or put them in a position to level up. So, relationships are the biggest thing, and just treating people with respect, having some compassion, empathy, I think is huge right now, no matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, and just treating people like you'd want to be treated.
Man, as a young man, I don't know how long it took me to get to compassion and empathy. It's amazing that you even speak them words as a young man, because we was just too angry, to even get to them words. And it took us damn near to get to 50 before we understood the full notion of compassion and empathy for someone else, even for those people who are inflicting pain on you. Is that the greatest capacity that you would have as a man is the capacity to endure long suffering. Mm-hmm. Because and y'all be cautious out there, because I know you thugs and gangsters is out there listening. But when I talk about the ability to endure long suffering, it ain't about somebody doing something to you. It's about the long suffering is about containing your reaction to what is occurring to you. Okay, how you respond to that that activity or that impact. So, hey, man, tell us how people can get involved with you and what you're doing, man, and share with the listening base about what your next up-and-coming events and, how do people get involved with what you're doing over there, David?
Well, we have our website's ml20.org, and they can go on there. There's volunteer opportunities. We call it time, talent, treasure, the 3 T's. So if they want to give their time and volunteer, if they have some kind of talent that they want to provide to the foundation, from taxes or marketing, like you name it, whatever kind of talent somebody might have, and obviously treasure is a big one. But if they want to come volunteer at the academy, we have a bunch of field trips. We just went down to University of Oregon and got a tour. We had both schools, our middle schools at Park Rose and Harriet Tubman, 2 charter buses, go down there, got tour of the facilities, met some athletes, and saw the dorm rooms.
Was Roger there with you? Big Raj. Was he? Did Roger? What's Roger's last name?
Thompson.
Roger, Mr. Thompson. No, you need to.
Von Ray Johnson was there.
Oh, Von Ray. Yeah, but you need to meet Roger.
Yeah. Roger's the enrollment VP of enrollment.
Okay.
Yeah, he's somebody that.
But they're opening up the Balmer Institute here in Northeast Portland. Are you familiar with that?
No, I did not know that.
So they bought Concordia. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh yeah, I knew.
Steve and Kathy Balmer, the owners of the Clippers.
I met Steve.
Put $425 million into the acquisition, and then they're going to give some full ride scholarships. So your kids coming out of this academy,
beautiful time for that relationship
need to be connected,
occur.
And they're hoping to graduate some folks who can to address the mental health crisis, and then can be placed in schools for students like that. So I would see that be a great connection for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, folks, this time has come to an end, and it's been a real pleasure. Man, David, change of perception. There was a young man that I used to tutor and mentor over the years, and whenever he ran into a difficult time, he would say some stuff like life change. And this was one of those experiences, David, to be able to have an opportunity to sit down and chop it up with you, man, because man, great love for you, your dad, what you have inherited, the foundation of all that. There's a lot of intersecting points which I would have never known we had. Right. But I do acknowledge the skill set that you bring to the table with it, David, and I support and endorse that from a young man's point of view and perspective. I'm a few clicks down the road on you, and I still got warrior in me, but I understand that the S in Sam simply means strong. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So that you
at least we know what the S mean.
Yeah, we don't know.
The AM is still the mystery.
You didn't need to get the AM. You just needed to get Sam. You remember when Sam was in the crimes world, son of Sam. But anyway, but listen, y'all. The Soul District Business Association represents diverse businesses in the Northeast Portland by advocating by training and for growth and opportunities. Become a member of the Soul District and donate now to the Soul District, pdx.org. Hey, my name is John Washington, and my team here, Jarrell and Fawn Aberson, and of course, David Lucas. Hey, this has been a real time, and I appreciate y'all for letting us be here and be a part of your life. And the Lord's in this room. I know he is for those of y'all, but I ain't going to do that with you, but goodbye. Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, we never got to talk about your auto group. What is your auto group, Andrew?